to On Writing with Onkarabile, the show that is aiming to promote reading and writing in our communities, restoring pride and dignity of Africans through the power of reading and writing. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today on our show is Mr. Lesego, who is very passionate about education, specifically reading and writing. And today we are going to have a very interesting conversation with him. Mr. Lesego, we thank you so much, sir, for coming.
Where's the sound? Like pa 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 pa.
No, we'll put it.
Drum roll like.
Let's start first, then we'll put it.
Introduce How are you doing, mate? Thank you for having me. I do appreciate the invitation.
Yes, Mr. Lesego.
Sure.
No, Mr. Lesego, you are very passionate, as I've said, about education.
Sure.
Today I want us to talk about, and I can see a lot of books, in front of you there. And I see a lot of money there when I see those books.
Well, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was 7 years ago, when I started meeting you. And one of the things that I remember when you gave a speech is that there is money in books.
Yes.
And throughout the years, I've seen authors struggling to make money from their books. And I will ask myself, but Lesego and they said there is money in books.
Yeah.
So I want us to talk about that.
Sure.
Why did you say that? Why do you believe that there is money in books? Because before you start, there is I don't know if it's a myth. I will say a myth based on your words.
Yeah.
That says authors are starving artists. That's number one. Number two, you can't make a living as an author. You need to be an author and do something else on the side, like maybe work.
Right.
Alone as an author, you can't make it. So let's talk about it.
Right. I want us to start with a principle. I love principles because they work for self, right? There's a principle that I learned from one of my mentors from afar in the United States by the name of Jim Winner. Jim Winner taught me about the phases of projects. You asked the question, why are authors starving and why are we declared as the most unproductive in the space? Jim Winner says there are 3 phases that we all go through in projects. The first phase that we all go through in projects or in life, this principle applies everywhere. Number 1, when you start a book project, I can remember it's on the concept phase, pre. You are excited, isn't it? Excitement.
Yes.
You have registered your book title. You have started to write maybe 2, 3, 4 pages of that book. You feel excited, isn't it? But you forgot in life that there's a second phase that's called frustration. We all go through a frustration phase of each project. Let's say when this podcast studio started, people were excited, or the owners were excited to start it, but they forgot that there's a second phase which is called frustration. Frustration, that's when we go under shock, we give up, and we divorce what we have started, right? The reason the studio is still running even now, they stayed in the frustration phase because that's where the money is. And the third phase that we all go through is escape, meaning you leave. Now I'm about to answer your question. Authors are struggling because they always leave during the frustration phase. And on the frustration phase, that's where the money is. What do I mean by that? People or the readers, they want to see how serious you are about your narrative. What are we talking about? We're talking marketing, advertising, telling more of your story. They want to see the effort that you are putting in your own narrative before they actually spend their money on you. So what we're saying is, when you start a book, you are excited. But during frustration as an author, you leave. And what do you do when you leave? You start another project. You had a book that's called Lovely So. Lovely So, it's not selling. You haven't done anything, no effort whatsoever. You are now starting breaking or broken heart. You think that people will support broken heart. No. You haven't honored the efforts in your first project. Let me look at the first project that we started with my friend Banele, the Theatre of the Lotta Principle. The Theatre of the Lotta Principle. I told myself when I published this book, I'm going to do a national tour. People asked, you don't have money, how are you going to do a national tour? I used a simple method. I wrote to churches in 9 provinces. Hello, pastor, whosoever. I have a wonderful story that can motivate your young people, and I have formulated it in the form of a book. So can I come and speak at your church? The book is 200 rands. I can donate 50 rands for your church. And people ask, then how did you do a national tour? I booked a guest house for a day. I book a guest house on Saturday. I come back home on a Sunday after the church service. So the church supports. I go with 100 books. I come back sold out. And I've already given the church their 50 rands. They've already done their fundraising with the book sale.
So wait. So in each book you give 50 rand?
In each book I give 50 rand.
Okay.
So from the 100 books, it's 50 rand times 600.
Okay.
The church made their own. But remember, I know my costing. I know that per book to print, it costs me only $60 or $70 for that, or even lesser, depending on the number of units that I'm going to print. So when I come back home, I come back being a happy man. And people respect what? The effort that I put in marketing my own story. If you don't have the zest for your own story, did you know that readers and investors can actually see that you don't have a zest for your own narrative? That's what we're talking about. When you start, you'll be excited. During the frustration phase, which is the second phase, don't leave. Stay in the frustration phase because that's where your money is. If you always leave projects that you start, forget, you won't taste the money. There is money in books. This book paid all my debt.
All right, so you spoke about the readers. That the readers want to see you, if you are serious about your craft.
Yeah.
So are you saying this concept of saying, we have like the culture of not reading in South Africa?
Yeah.
Will not play a role in your failure of selling books?
No, not at all. Now, when we crafted this, of course, it was an idea between self and working with Banele, the one that was doing the typesetting. Mine, it's in a form of conversations. That's why the book is called The Theater of the Lotar Principle. So in this book, I was selling the principle, L-O-T-A-R. So this principle worked for me in life, and it's the actual principle that made me not to deter or to detour in this life. L-O-T-A-R, listen, observe, think, act, and reflect. In everything that I do in this life, I listen, I observe, I think, and act and reflect every time when I get involved into projects. So I felt the need to sell this project. But because I knew my market, it's natives, but I know our people, they love theater. That's why this book was formulated in a form of conversations. So when you read this book, it's like you're watching a theater on stage. So I know, but Baona, they don't want an obvious A to Z story. They want to be engaged as well. The book, it's super engaging. That's how I was able to make extra moolah on it.
Many people find it difficult, Mr. Lesego, to sell, even the research has shown that an average author will sell about 500 copies in his own lifetime.
Yep.
From there, they are nowhere to be found. Why is it so hard to actually break through, to become a bestseller? Like, when you read about other authors, you'll see he's a bestseller. And then you ask yourself, how did they reach there?
We first need to know how much is bestseller in South Africa?
3,000 to 5,000.
5,000 copies bestseller in South Africa. Why do people struggle? Let's dissect. It's not that people are dumb. They're just less empowered, right? When you write a book, who is the first person that you are thinking of as your point of sale? Forget about family. Take it from me. Forget about family. Don't count them in here. Because remember, sometimes you might be the first one to publish in the family.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's a shock. For others, it's a shock. For some people is anyway. Now, when I published this, I knew very well the first book launch. I wanted us to talk about this before we started. There is no rule of thumb or law that says you shouldn't charge people for your book launch. Sometimes we get engaged in conferences and whatnot, and people will say, why when authors launch books, they charge people? Hello, this is not a stock fail. Imagine, you are booking a venue for your book launch. You also have drinks and finger food. You pay them their business. And when you leave, remember, if you have 200 people at your book launch and you have 200 copies, your primary concern should be selling these. And what if all these 200 people come and they don't buy?
It's possible.
It's a loss. And I've attended the book launch. Maranaka, I buy books.
Yeah.
I've attended the book launch where somebody printed 300 copies and they are left with 250.
Yeah.
However, Standivele or Matome, drinks. So now all these clients that you see here, they have launched their books. We have more that we have published. All these clients, I always tell my client, Mam Phyllis, they launched in Zurbecom. So I said, when you publish a book, the first launch here, how? It's your break-even strategy. What does that mean? The money that you spend in producing this book, you must get it back plus profit. So it's now that but by Bona and Ntombzodwa, she launched in the north, a beautiful event. Most of their events were sold out because when I publish them, I also empower them to say, you are not publishing this book for fun. Remember, this book is a story, it's a solution, and it's history. So you can't just do it at no cost. So usually I will say to my authors, how much did it cost you to produce this book? For argument's sake, let's say is the client, I charged them 25,000 rand for the whole production, right? You must make sure a book launch how you get the 25,000 break even plus the profit as well. So you must make sure your event has around 100 or 150 guests so that you cover all those. That's how most of my authors, they make money. So I'm answering your question again. Books have money. Yes, some of my authors, if not all, have tasted the profits of being an author. Remember, quality also matters. Don't take your readers for a ride.
In short, you spoke about one of the book, Dear Mr. Entrepreneurship.
Yes, that's Dr. Galawi.
Apart from the launch, just in 3 minutes, what is the other way that she actually made money from the book?
Dr. Galawi and most of my authors I advise leverage on the media. Leverage on the media, particularly community media. People take community media very light. Your local radio stations, when they call you for an interview, don't say they are small. Setups like this, don't say, it's a setup bukasi. Go there because just by this show, you can have 100 sales. Just by that community newspaper that interviewed you, you can have 50. So she's leveraging on media a lot.
I can agree on that. I remember I was once featured on one of the Santon Chronicles newspaper, which is the community and I sold a lot of copies.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe the copies that I sold there.
Yeah.
And remember, like you say, my market is in Santon, so you must understand who read
precisely that. Precisely.
You understand? Yeah. So I agree with you that really we need to target such community station. Yeah.
And maybe when we come back, we can also speak on leveraging on speaking engagements. I want to speak a lot on that. I have a passion on that as well. How to sell your book through speaking engagements.
Yes, actually, I was about to ask that question of, is there other ways?
Yeah.
But I wanted us to dwell more on selling books.
For sure.
Before we leverage, because that is why I spoke about bestseller.
Sure.
That someone will say, you'll read a book and say, this person said, the bestseller of what, bestseller author of what. Then you ask yourself, but is it possible? Is it true that this person has reached?
Who gives you the bestseller label in South Africa?
Well, I know in the UK, in the United States.
Well, in South Africa, anyone can just put that gold label that says bestseller, right? Unless if you're in the newspaper industry, there's an audit bureau, right? Let me explain that. In South Africa, people that get bestsellers is those that use your traditional publishers. It's not that a self-published author cannot reach bestseller. I know a couple that have reached, but they are not fixated on announcing that they are the bestseller. They are fixated on making sales, making money. Because remember, you can be bestseller and not make money. Let me make an example. You get published with a traditional publisher. Remember, they are taking the bigger percentage. There's a difference. Having your book in a bookstore, it's not equals to sales. People don't understand. There's a difference between advertising, marketing, and branding. When your book is on the shelf in that bookstore, it's called an advert. It's an advert to say, my book, it's there. Marketing, it's when they experience you as the speaker telling them about the book that's in the shop. Before they even buy, they need to experience you. So when you get a bestseller, a traditional publisher will say, we will take all the costs of selling your book. We will give you 20 rand from the 100 rand that you want. Maybe we'll take 60 rands or we'll give you 40 rands. So what they do, they leverage on the market that they have already. That's why it's easy for them to say we have 10,000 buyers that we have on our database. So those 10 buyers, when they buy, it's easy for them to put that label to say best buyer, 10,000 copies sold in South Africa. For most self-publishers, we are not fixated on that because we know all the money comes from us. I could have easily put bestseller on the Theatre of the Lottery principle, but I'm more concerned of how is it doing in the market? Is it selling? Nah. So that bestseller, don't be too fixated on it. There's someone whose bestseller can tell you, but they don't have the actual cash. True. In SA, that is. In the United States, bestseller, it means something. And if somebody's watching online now, they're thinking that, Lesego is speaking hogwash. Fine. I'm not using a blanket approach for every bestseller. I'm saying there are those that can be having the emblem of bestseller, but they don't have the actual money. Yes, the book has sold, but their percentages were a bit lesser.
When we come back, Mr. Lesego,
Yeah.
I want us to continue on this one. Because one of the questions that I was going to ask you is bookshop or boot, car boot.
I'll be happy to answer that.
Yes.
I'll be happy to
So
answer
let's
that.
just go to the break, and
Right.
then when we come back, we
Super.
continue. Ladies and gentlemen, we will come back shortly after this short break.
The Creative Corner with Nolu Knowles, a cozy and inspiring show that features interviews with artists, showcases their work, challenges, and successes. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on Share Radio. Tune in live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. This is Share Radio.
Welcome back to On Writing with Onkarabile, the show that is aiming to promote reading and writing in our communities. We still have Mr. Lesego, who is very passionate about making money in books. He believes that there is money in books. Mr. Lesego, let's continue on what we were talking about, bookshop or a car boot.
Yeah, right. You need to understand the purpose of these. I call them platforms. A bookshop is a platform, right? Selling from your car boot, Leonake platform, right? Why do I have my books? Maybe go lifestyle books in Maponya. You go to lifestyle books, you'll find the Theatre of the Lotta Principle there. That's me positioning my project to say I still exist. But I know if I check my book sales there, they're not doing that great because I'm not in store. Someone will send me a WhatsApp to say, hey, Lesego, I see your book here, but I'll ask them, why you not buy it? You know what I mean? So having a book shop does not mean sales. But once I go on my radio interviews and say, guys, you can still get my book at such and such a store, then the store will call me to say, hey, Lesego, we need extra books. Your books are already sold out. What do I mean? People want to experience you as the writer. That's why it's important to also promote speaking engagements. Make sure that you are seen in public, addressing crowds and crowds of people. Go to newspapers, advise, go to radio station, take those motivational slots and whatnot. But before babala, that's what I've seen. If they hear me more, they are inspired. Even in the mall, somebody hey, so do you have copies in the car? Oh, definitely. I have copies, but I'm not going back going for copy A1. Remember, but what do you mean? No, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
and they will buy definitely, and they will get an autograph right then. There, like a speed. Oh, beautiful! Even pictures, they love pictures. So your books are sold absolutely everywhere. Do not found wanting. Utsamaya in a serious occasion, but you don't have copies. You can't be attending conferences because of some people who will entice in that conference, and then they'll say, "Beautiful, we loved your story on stage. Do you have?" I don't have. Please order. Take my number. Le order. Or you are full of play. Do you have? I have 50 copies. You need to go sold out. So boot or shop, for now it's neither here nor there, as long as you are able to channel people on where they can get your book. Bookshops, remember, you're not going to take the whole amount. That's the downside of it.
Yes.
If you sell in the bookshops, people charge you for their sales rep. Go charge for space in that shop. So maybe if my book is 200 rands, that store maybe will say, can I take $60 from the 200 rands? It's fair enough. I've counted that on my spreadsheets on how much I'm going to make. As long as I'm not losing on my marketing funds and the actual printing funds, I need to make sure that I cover those. So boot, it works for me. Shop, it works for me. But if you were to ask me which one, I will say more. When you go to speak to people, when you're going to address crowds, that's where you make the actual sales.
Let's talk about, continue about speaking gigs.
Yeah.
Apart from talking about your book in radio stations, in conferences and stuff, how one can make money through speaking using the book?
Hey, that's a complex one. But we'll dissect. Hey, me, I love dissecting concepts. Right. How do you make money through your book, speaking engagements, right? Your book needs to be aligned with your theme, that is speaking engagements. People know me of character building, right? When you speak Lesego, you speak character building. The theater of the Lotta principle, it's character building. If you read here that line, what does it say?
A collaboration, character building.
Yeah, a collaborative narrative on character building, right? So they know, but when I go and do a presentation on character building, they'll be having a reference tool. If they did not hear my whole message, then they will say, Mr. Tau, we did not hear much and we would have loved to ask you questions. What can we do? Then you can leverage on the book and read more on the concepts that I was teaching about. So align your message as a public speaker to the contents. You can't speak about, I'll make an example. Investments. You are in the financial investments and whatsoever, but mostly your books dibuaka theater. It doesn't align. You are in the finance space, but your public speaking engagements, dibuaka theater or dibuaka healthy, so it doesn't align. So they will see that disconnect. If you look at this client, Dr. Galloway is a senior lecturer at West Business School, quite renowned. Molaetsa wa gagwe o ruta ka kgwebo because she's a senior lecturer most of the commercial subjects go West Business School. So the message is aligned. She's a community builder. Madam Phyllis Malope, she's a queen, by the way, married in the royal family. Deserted citizens of the West. So she speaks about how the West is been avoided by the state and whatnot in the book, because she's a community worker. She's been seeing all these things. So message as a speaker, it's about development. That's why the content it's development orientated. So align those two.
Hey, yeah, no, it's hot. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's very hot. You know, you spoke about. I wanted to ask this question, but I don't know if you have answered it because you spoke about the newspaper, like media.
Sure.
But then how authors what can authors do to put their work out there to be recognized?
Right.
You know, especially self-published authors. Mm-hmm. You know, what can they do?
I have an answer for that. Authors don't have an opinion online. Hello, I think I said that very low. Authors don't have an opinion online. If you write about character building, your opinions must be about character building online. You must be a first point of reference when somebody says, hey guys, we have an event, we need a speaker in character building. They must think, Lesego. So authors have a sabuka at the junction of life. This one speaks about abuse. Because she's a social worker. It's relevant. It aligns. But now, you need to have an opinion. If something wrong is happening in the country, abuse, you need to have an opinion. If something wrong happens in the education system, that's why I have an opinion as an author to say, I think this and this is happening because of our learners are lacking on 1, 2, 3. In colleges, in university, I have an opinion. This is happening in the education space because of our learners are not aligned, our students are not aligned on 1, 2, 3. So if you don't have an opinion, nobody trusts you. That's how I'll answer your question. People, authors, I don't want to book. So why are you quiet online? Why are you quiet online? And you must also check the numbers. If we sit now, Facebook has the largest following. People will say, no, you must be on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. You can't find me on Twitter. It's not relevant for my products because of Twitter is full of bashing, right? If you can post something positive now on Twitter, they will bash you like nobody's business before they say, hooray. So it's not good for my business. So if you go on LinkedIn and Facebook, you will definitely find me there. On WhatsApp channel, you'll find me there because of that's where my market is. It does not mean when you are an author, you need to be in all the platforms. No. I know big guys, my mentors, Barling, well off. They are not on some of the channels because of they've understood their market and where they exist. Have an opinion online if you want to be recognized. That was your question.
Not being everywhere. There's an author who wrote a book and said, he's titled the book, Forget About Marketing, Focus on Sales. And you spoke earlier about marketing.
Yes.
When you made example about the bookshop.
Yep.
You know, that the bookshop, when your book is at the bookshop, the first thing is that is the point of contact.
Yep.
Then when you are there, you are marketing the book. Speaking of, you are marketing the book.
Yep.
Do you think authors are doing enough when it comes to marketing?
Never.
Their books.
Never. You know, when I published these two guys, Bila and Pindi, I said to them, guys, publish. I'm working on a project now. I can feature you because of you don't have the budget to publish your own material. I was not selfish about it. Guys, let's come together and we'll work on this project. Victory is trapped in your thought pattern, right? I told them. I'm glad they saw it, Bona, and we were laughing about it. We were being jovial about it. Guys, once you have this product, it's not automatic money. But what do you mean? No one is going to celebrate you for publishing a book. You are going to be shocked. You will see. Immediately after we launched the book, people are not ordering. Of course, they don't owe you an order, guys. They don't owe you an order. You need to make sure you go to them and tell them your story. Why should we purchase this book? Develop an opinion. One will say to me, hey, it's tough to sell a book. No, it's not tough. They are not impressed yet. Why is your story unique? Because any story they can find online, they can listen to a radio, they can find stories, they can open on Google, they can find stories. Why is yours unique? And they said to me, Lesego, definitely this publishing thing is indeed a bit compromising. It is. Have the drive for it. Don't be embarrassed to sell your book. When you sell your book, don't sound like you are a beggar. No, you are in business like anyone that sells a product in store or in I've worked on retail before. I understand how it means. Horekisa just a bottle of water. Somebody says, I don't need it for now. So you get there as well where somebody says, no, let's go next time. And I will remind you next time, remember the law of average. This is so powerful. I learned it from my wife. The law of average, she taught me this. They taught them this. If you speak to less than 10 people, don't expect a sale. The more you speak to people, you can expect sales. So that means in the 100 people that you speak to, you can only get sales about by 5. So authors don't understand the law of average. You can't speak to 5 people in a week and expect a sale. Speak to more than 100 people about your material. Maybe 5 or 6 sales will come. Law of average. You don't produce a product and sit on it. It will gather dust and it will become history that never sold.
You spoke something, we will about to go to another break.
Sure.
And then when you come back, you have to speak about what you said, how to make money through. You speak something about, this concept that you spoke before.
All right.
But now I want you to address this issue that you just mentioned, that don't be a beggar. Like you're a beggar or you're embarrassed.
Sure.
The value of, authors putting value actually on their books.
Yes.
This issue of, I have personally been, against it. Of someone who's saying, no, I support you, I will support you. You understand? And you also come to people, please support me. Can you please clarify on that?
People don't understand. You are running a business here. This is literally a business.
Yes.
Right? The failure then becomes if authors don't brand themselves. Right? Branding would mean add effort on your covers, how you brand your material. Add effort. An ox mo Google akenye mo cut and paste. When you look at their book cover, guys, there's no effort.
Yeah.
Remember, nobody owes you a sale. Hey man, kidi offend. Sorry to use the word, but you make your client feel like you offend. Or how can support A1? My life will change. No. One sale will never transform your authors. Please brand yourselves. Take yourself serious. When somebody says we are booking you for a speaking engagement, can you have a profile, please? Onkarabile Mokoto, I'm a speaker. Give them a profile. Show them what when saying. Show them the channels that you have been to. Show them why your opinion matters in that profile. Give them references in your profile. If you don't trust my work, please contact company so and company so or individual A and B so that they can see that you trust in your work and value your. Authors are selling themselves short, particularly self-published authors. That's why traditional publishers are keeping on chowing it in the industry because they know the importance of branding you as a speaker and a writer.
On the same note, the issue of giving books for free or copies for free.
Yeah.
Is it advisable?
And no, it's 1994. 1994. I don't give books for free. We call it CSI approach to say, if you want me to come and do your event for free, maybe, can you please buy 50 copies for such and such a charity? I know where I'm going to make my money. I'm not going to make the book 200. Maybe I can say, I can cost you 150. Buy these books for a charity. Then I can come at no cost. at your event. I know on the book sales I would have made my profits, but the book idea was a certain charity. So I'm definitely not going to go at that event at no cost. And I'm definitely not giving my book for free, because when I get to printers, ke re ke bata 100 copies at no cost, but I don't give books for free. It's a rule. Even my wife, all my projects, she buys, and she has understood the value of buying a book. And I'm glad, because I sold the message to her. Even my family, that one does not give books for free. You buy, because it takes a cost for production.
So tell me, when you say the host must buy for charity,
Yeah.
do you choose a charity, or they choose the charity?
They
themselves?
choose. If they don't have, they will ask me to recommend.
Oh, okay.
Definitely, I have a couple of charities that I work with. Maybe I will say, let's go to Paraguanath and give those that are paraplegic, wheelchair,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then I'll go to Paraguanath, go headquarters, Tabona, office, CEO. CEO will say, oh, definitely we have a ward that we can donate. Kobona. Imagine someone wants a cooler for the jara or in Algo special. They will love to have a read, you know. Exactly. 50 the chocolate in and then we make them feel good about themselves. And guess what? Against the profit, then I can do that free presentation at their gig.
So let's go to another break.
Sure.
When we come back, we wrap up this discussion.
Sweet.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's just go to a short break, then we come back and finish this discussion. Thank you so much. Welcome back to On Writing with Onkarabile, the show that is aiming to promote reading and writing in our communities. We still have Mr. Energy.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Lesego Tau. When he's in the house, you can feel that there is fire.
Sure.
Mr. Lesego, let's continue. So let me give you a platform to continue what you were just saying before.
Right, on the CSI.
Yes.
Another method that I used here, selling my book through CSI, I would write to individuals to say, I've spotted such and such a charity, and I see that they have a passion for reading. Do you mind if you can buy them a couple of copies? We're an individual. Buy them a couple of copies so that we can be able to give back to them. Because I would have loved at no cost, but I need partnership. Individuals, they do. How much is your copy? 200. Okay, me, I can pay 100 rands. I know that I'm still gaining. Even if I sell, I give to that charity at 100 rands. In printing cost and the little that I can make.
Yes,
so I will give to 4 or 5 charities. One will say, I give them 50 copies. They just pay accounting. I give them 70 copies. It sells and it counts as well on your bestseller. It's just that I said self-publishers, we are not fixated on the emblem, bestseller. We are more focused on sales. And I keep on repeating, books do have money if you have the energy, the sales, and the business model for it. We also need to touch on the issue you are selling internationally as well, the pros and cons as we continue.
Yeah, please, let's continue.
Right. Whenever a South African hears the word international, what usually happens with their psyche? When they hear the word international, what happens normally in the psyche of South African?
They are big.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I theme this? It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Can we please stop this thing, South African authors, where somebody sends you an email and say, I'm international and your book can sell international. My book has sold in Botswana. I'm international. My book is sold in Lesotho. I'm international. In Swaziland, I have copies there. Namibia, I have copies. Neighboring countries. I'm international. What does this international mean? What does it mean? International, does it mean that you have to be in the US before you are declared international? No. I usually say, do not focus on European first or Asian first if you haven't honored your neighboring countries. An author, also in Botswana, also in Lesotho. Lesotho, it's 4.5 hours drive.
Yeah.
You haven't sold your book more than neighboring country. But because they said in Mississippi, United States of America, and you're thinking you owe sales, they might even give you 10 rand. Mississippi. Your book can even be transformed into a movie. I had a client where we were nearly ripped off a manuscript. Somebody says, Romela manuscript, you need to review, we can print your book, come on, it's cheaper. That nearly went for a serious movie, get by repeat. That manuscript was so good, I also published because we're still running the legalities. They were going to rip off that manuscript. So relax yourself, South African authors. Stop this thing out how it's Europe or Asia or Australia. You're thinking already, yeah, I don't know. This is it. It's not. Focus on your neighboring countries, international. You go to Lesotho to book a guest house. It's reasonable to go to Lesotho to book a guest house and go and ask to speak at the university there. University there. They have money, even if you can go with 100 copies. Just for the fact that you have spoken, go to Lesotho, your book is there. You are international. Full stop. I guess maybe one good.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I want us to talk about, because we will now go to end of this conversation. I want us to talk about, we've spoken a lot about money in books.
Yeah.
Marketing, selling,
Sure.
being in media. But one is saying, Mr. Lesego, I have that passion of publishing a book, but I don't have money. And publishing a book, obviously, it's money.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of funding somewhere, where I can get funding for my book? Please advise.
Yeah, your first point of contact is the South African National Library of South Africa. They do have funds for that. You should know you're an author yourself. It's just that, but South African National Library of South Africa has a fund for people that have good manuscripts, right? You can just write to them or romele the manuscript. People will be asking katabaya copyright. Guys, the law has said it. You can't protect words. You can't protect motivation. Or you must be you must believe in yourself. You can't protect those things. You can't copyright. You must believe in yourself. It's words. The only thing you can maybe try to copyright, it's your motivational quotes. It's still a big debate already. This motivational quote somebody can just take it and customize it. Right? So don't be too fixated on how romella your manuscript for funding, but where you guys, just send it there. I usually say nobody can steal something else nang heartbeat for you. Hey man, I've been involved in projects that have money where an idea was compromised from someone. It won't work. And when you ask people, guys, were you the actual authentic drivers of this concept? Because we can see you can't deliver. I don't care, you can have millions, but you're going to fail. You won't succeed. So rest yourselves, authors. If it's a concept that needs funding, just apply. You can try go agriculture, sports, arts and culture as well. They do fund. I think by the inside every year the windows are on. It's just that our authors, some of them as well, unfortunately, they are a bit ignorant. I know it's a heavy word. Pardon me for that, but I need to use it so that it penetrates and pierces. It's a bit ignorant. You check them on Facebook. The empowerment groups. People have 10, 15 empowerment groups. I follow all the government departments. On my Facebook page, I follow all government departments in South Africa. Authors, platforms, the US, you can mention Asia. I follow for advice and opinion. Maybe I follow around 500 or 600, if not 700 groups. It's instant communication. If Sports, Arts and Culture posts something about supporting authors, immediately. I get notified, I see it, and then I apply. The Gauteng province as well, I know through their Arts and Culture, they support a lot. The authors saying, register yourself under their database as well. They make yourself known. There is funds for the author as well. It's just that on self-publishing, now we know how to mitigate the cost. So I'm getting my funding because I know I can edit. I empowered myself and took credentials on editing. Now I can do the actual typesetting and layout as well because I had to empower myself to do those as well. On graphics, we have a guy that does graphics, so I don't spend a lot. I'm just working on having my own print hub so that I can do everything in-house. There's no loss. So if somebody says, I want to publish, but I cannot share it, no. You must understand the pinch. Now I usually say, try at least to spend on one element or aspect they're publishing. If it's not editing, pay for proofreading, pay for art. The artwork, because if everything is at no cost, you're not going to respect your project because you don't understand the actual deposits or injection, the finances in your actual project. Or just once you launch once, what was the actual cost involved in the actual project. So spend on something, at least artwork, editing or proofreading or typesetting and layout.
One of the things, Mr. Lesego, that you said when you gave a speech 7 years ago when I was listening to you.
Yeah.
You encouraged authors, and this will be the last point in 2 minutes, just wrap up in 2 minutes. You encourage authors to take advantage on CETA opportunities, to become registered facilitators and assessors.
Yep.
in 2 minutes, just.
I think that's beautiful. You remind me of something beautiful. Remember, if you're an author, people believe that you have an opinion in something, ne? And some of them will want to come and invite you to come and do a formal facilitation. But how, Yakobo, please facilitate this topic for us. Do you have credentials in facilitation? How Nayon? You're not now, you're about to be a registered facilitator in that regard. So that means I can trust you. I can send you anywhere to go and speak on a different theme because you are registered. You have the credentials of being a facilitator. Authors, can you also leverage on those credentials? Become a registered facilitator so that it can improve your credentials as well, which is very key. Matwas understanding for facilitation king is becoming an occupational trainer. Occupational trainer means you are a professional trainer. You can stand in companies and train professionals in a particular theme. So go and register yourself and become an assessor. You can also become a moderator as well, but it starts with the actual facilitation course that you can take as an author. Howly an author is not the end of it. You still need to leverage and empower yourself as well. Remember, as an author, you're already thinking, how can I mitigate the costs? Editing, it takes a chunk in the publishing process. So go and study and be a copy editor so that you can lessen the cost. Go and study graphics, layout and design as well. Do graphics for yourself. You know that you are no longer going to spend on anything. I encourage authors to be very much, there's a word I'm looking for in English. Be woke, be inquisitive. You know. And it will empower you as an author. We keep on writing. When people say there's no money in books, we always say to them, good luck. And maybe you need to change the mentor or mentorang. There's no way that a whole doctor like Dr. Galawe, Akabata will publish a book if there's no money.
Exactly.
She understands exactly what's happening in this space.
Yeah.
Lady, she's quite powerful. It's just that I can't mention the company. Beautiful lady. She's making decent as a high in the publishing space. We born quite corporate. She's I'm glad I've published good guys. Platform, you know. Thank you very much. We do appreciate. But there's also someone auditing control. Where do I start? It's simple. You come up with a book title if you want to publish a book. Come up with a book title, register the book title with the National Library of South Africa. It's at no cost. Remember the ISBN number. ISBN number just says ke number ya book title ya how that you're about to produce, and work on the actual manuscript, your thoughts on paper, and type them. Remember, something that self-publishers forget. People are usually worried, is my book going to sell? I'm worried about the manuscript. It's not your job. It's a job you're editor. The editor is there to make you look good. So stop worrying if you've written the right things or not. Once you are done with the manuscript and editor will make sure that they formalize it and it becomes readable, your grammar, your flow, they cover all those things. Proofreaders will do the job for you, Marwana. You have to pay in that regard. Enjoy the process of writing because South Africa is running low with the National Library of South Africa. If you take your book with the National Library of South Africa, they actually thank you. Thank you very much because our libraries, they need to be packed with books. We need more writers as we stand.
Mr. Lesego, thank you so much, sir. Unfortunately, our time has come to an end.
Yeah.
I had hoped that we can continue.
Social media.
Yes.
I need to tell
where can they get you?
I need to tell
where can they get you? Where can they get you?
Yeah, on social media handles ke Lesego Rarebreed Tau. Ke nna fela. Yeah, mo lefatsheng ka when you click Lesego Rarebreed Tau on socials, that's me. My opinions are mainly on character building. I also have a foundation where I do youth empowerment. That's the Lesego Tau Education Foundation. They can follow us on Facebook there. We do a lot of camping. We use camping as a way to reason with the youth and to empower them on site. When I teach life skills in that organization. Guys, thank you very much for the platform. It is appreciated.
Thank you so much,
and through this platform, definitely I know I'm going to get my next 2 or 3 clients.
Of course, definitely.
I appreciated it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Lesego Tau on writing with Onkarabile, the show that is aiming to promote reading and writing in our communities, restoring pride and dignity of Africans through the power of reading and writing. Please subscribe to Share Online, like and share this inspirational interview. My name is Onkarabile Mokoto and we'll meet same time, same place. Thank you so much.